we only take 15 days to deliver a yes or a no answer to you. You might say again that, we've heard this before, time-bound clearances. How is Telangana different? We are different because if we do not give you a yes or a no answer in 15 days, on the 16th day, it's a deemed yes. It's a deemed automatic approval. No other state in India will tell you this. And the third thing we do, we take accountability very seriously. If we don't deliver on the 15-day window, again, by statute, by legislation, on the 16th day, the law empowers us to penalize even our bureaucracy, to penalize even our bureaucrats, to the sum of rupees 1,000 per day, till such time as they actually clear that specific application. This again, no state in India will tell you. In fact, I was in KPMG's global headquarters talking to the chairman of KPMG, and when I explained to him this policy, and when I mentioned to him that no Indian state will offer you this was in New York City, our favorite city, Ambassador. He looked at me, smiled, and he said, well, no state in the United States also offers you this kind of policy. So that's how truly remarkable, that's how truly progressive the Telangana government's industrial policy is. For those of you who are thinking, who are smirking and saying, does this actually work, or is this all talk? This policy has been approved in 2014 November, and we are here in December 2021. Let me tell you, we've been able to give more than 17,500 clearances so far, all in a time-bound manner in less than 15 days. And in fact, in some cases, you would be amazed, we were able to give clearances in less than 11 days, 10 days, even from 37, 38 departments. That's how efficient Telangana government's delivery has been. And, as they say, what matters really is not just new investors, but existing investor sentiment also. The government of Telangana, in fact, has been able to attract several $1 billion of investment in the last 7.5 years. More than $32–33 billion of investment have come into Telangana. But what's heartening, what's extremely delightful, what makes us happy, is that 24% of that investment is actually from repeat investors who already had a base in the state of Telangana. The reason why I mention this is because as long as your existing investor is happy, they become your biggest brand ambassador across the world, because they travel, they share their success, they share their experiences with the government, with the administration, elsewhere also. So therefore, I'm delighted to tell you that this is the kind of experience the existing investors in Telangana have had in the last 7.5 years. More importantly, a couple of things we admire. In fact, when I met the ambassador and the consul general, I told both of them a couple of things I admire in Germany. And I have discussed this several times with Mr. Reddy as well. The one thing I really admire in Germany is the dual degree program that you have, where you have your students, in fact, become apprentices or interns in the industry while they're actually in a grad school. I think it's extremely important to have hands-on experience. That is something I would love to emulate in Telangana. In fact, that is something we need to emulate in India if we really have to compete with the large manufacturing countries like China and United States. The second thing I really like about Germany when it comes to industry is how well and how vibrant your SME ecosystem has been. The small and medium entrepreneurs in Germany make up for the bulk of GDP that comes from the industry sector. Subject to correction, I've learned that nearly 80+% of the GDP contribution from the industry sector actually comes from the medium and the small entrepreneurs in Germany, which is a remarkable number, if you ask me, because that goes to show you how well the German ecosystem is in terms of encouraging the small and the medium entrepreneurs. And now that is something, again, I think India has a lot to learn from. That is something, again, we in Telangana certainly can take a few leaves of your book. The more important thing that I've also learned from my experiences in meeting the German entrepreneurs, your products are of world repute. All the automobiles that run on the Indian roads and elsewhere in the world are of international class, and of course, your engineering, your precision engineering to be particular, is extremely, extremely popular. Now, Indian manufacturing sector, especially when the world is looking to move away from China, either China plus one strategy or a complete exit out of China and starting to look at other avenues. I think India, in fact, we really want to take that pole position as a competitor to China. We definitely need to take a few lessons on attracting more manufacturing business to our state and other states also. And that's again where German entrepreneurs can work with us. German entrepreneurs can engage with us and help us grow this ecosystem, because we have a lot of, Mr. Mohan Reddy talked about engineering colleges. He talked about gender diversity. He talked about skilling. What I would also like to add is we have a lot of ITIs, not just IITs, but also ITIs. We also have a lot of polytechniques. We also have a lot of very, very unique vocational training institutions, which are extremely important in providing employment to different sectors of the population, different sections of the population. And especially in a manufacturing economy, all these become very, very important cogs in the wheel. So therefore, Telangana government would be very happy to also work with the German entrepreneurs and German government in ensuring that we actually create a more vibrant ecosystem with respect to manufacturing. The other thing I would also like to point out, Hyderabad and Telangana, if you look at us in the Indian map, we're bang in the middle. We're very well connected to the rest of the world. We're very well connected, of course, to the rest of the country, but we're also very, very well connected to the rest of the world. Ambassador, you mentioned Lufthansa, but I'm told by some people in Delhi that Air India would actually start services to Frankfurt and other locations, Germany, very, very soon from Hyderabad. I hope that will also help us getting more and more German entrepreneurs and German investors quickly to Hyderabad rather than come via Bombay or come via Delhi. I would also be, remiss if I don't mention the current ecosystem in Hyderabad is very, very conducive. We have a large number of defense labs. We have a large number of aerospace entrepreneurs. We have a large number of research labs in a variety of sectors, ranging all the way from agriculture to aerospace, as was pointed out by Mr. Reddy. Now that gives you opportunities to collaborate, to work with us across various sectors. And the last thing I would say, Government of Telangana not only promises, but we also deliver. We ensure speedy clearances. We ensure land allocation in a quick manner. We also ensure that whatever manpower you require, whatever human resources you require, with a specific skill set, we will train them at our cost, and we will offer them to you so that they are readily employable. Of course, on the locational advantages and the quality of living, Mercer is an institution that rates cities on a livability index. In the last 5 years, Hyderabad has been rated as a city with the best quality of living on the livability index in India among all Indian cities. And also, the last thing I would say before I quit, if a German entrepreneur is willing to invest in Telangana, but is reluctant because he has a better offer in terms of fiscal incentives from another state in India, if you're willing to share that with me and Jayesh, I'll only promise you one thing: we'll either meet or beat that offer so that you make Telangana your home in the days to come. Once again, welcome you all to Hyderabad. I hope you have a fantastic stay, and thank you very much for this lovely opportunity. Cheers.
Thank you very much, sir, for such a wonderful reassurance. I would now like to open the floor for Q&A. I think we have multifaceted, different, diverse group of industries in this room. So if anybody has a question, please raise your hand, introduce yourself. The mics will be passed around, and you can pose the question to any dignitary on stage.
Mr. Ramarao, very impressive talk from you. Congratulations to you and your team. I have one question which is...
Sir, can you introduce yourself? Sorry to interrupt.
My name is Ranjit Pratap. I am the... If you connect me to the chamber, I am the president of the Southern Region Council. And I'm an entrepreneur on my own. I have many German joint ventures. and I come from the state of Chennai, Tamil Nadu in Chennai. Many industries we have started, and one thing is that in many states, they give us clearances very fast, as you rightly said, but then we encounter the hurdles, like you said, after the single window, and one of the main hurdles we encounter is the pollution control. How effective is this in your state? Because I know pollution is not entirely a state subject. It is also the environment, and pollution is also the central subject. And you have to overlap and work together with the central government. And there are some clearances which the central government has to give the nod. We always get into these kind of problems. Can you give us an answer on that?
Thank you, Mr. Ranjit. It's a great question because, like you said, I think there are areas where center and state also need to work together, absolutely. But let me tell you, sir, we have a very clear strategy when it comes to the various categories of industries, especially those that have effluents and those that those that can cause pollution. So there is the green category, there is the orange category, and there is a red category. As far as city of Hyderabad is concerned, our government had issued a government order back in 2013, clearly stating that no red or orange category industries will be allowed inside of the outer ring road that you may have possibly traveled when you came into Hyderabad today. So no red or orange inside of the city, inside of the ORR, only because we want to make sure that Hyderabad, like I said, which has been rated as a city with the best quality of living among all Indian cities, continues to remain relatively free from industrial pollution, because as the city is growing, we also need to make sure that environment and economy go hand in hand. The second thing we also do, the state of, for those units which are already inside, which have been set up, say, decades ago, what we've also offered them is a relocational package. We've created infrastructure elsewhere. We've offered them, some SOPs also to move so that they also don't actually feel the pinch. And we have also offered them land conversion so that they can use the current land where they are located, and it makes it viable and economically a lot of sense to them. But more important question is, what do you do when there are MOEF clearances, Ministry of Environment and Forest clearances, etc.? What we've done, sir, is we thought on scale. For example, one of the largest industries that we have in Telangana is pharmaceuticals and life sciences. Now, pharma, what we have done is we have created a large park in about 12,000 acres, and we have gotten a single clearance, en bloc clearance from MOEF. We already have the environmental clearance. So if you're starting a pharma unit, you can go readily and hit the ground running. There is no time lag of 1.5 years or 2 years that you would face elsewhere in the country. There are, of course, other categories which also are beyond pharma, which also are potentially red or orange. What we offer for them is, in fact, Jayesh, myself, we meet with the local pollution control board, the state pollution control board, every 15 days to 20 days. We ensure, because we have to meet that 15-day window on the 3SI pass, we ensure that if there are challenges, if there are areas where an enterprise cannot be permitted, we say no to them within the 15-day time period. We ask them to come back with an alternative option. So therefore, at least there is no ambiguity, as far as clearances are concerned. So either it's a yes or a no. That's exactly what I said. Like Pharma City, we have gotten an en bloc clearance. Elsewhere, if there is a challenge, we say no. But if there is a yes, we move forward. And that's how clear our communication has been. That's how we've been successful. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kripi. I'm a filmmaker and I run a film production company called Rachna Shala Productions. I wanted to know from the Honorable Minister that how state of Telangana would help new entrepreneurs and small-sized, companies. Thank you. Well,
film production is a very, very important business in Hyderabad and Telangana. Kriti, you said, right? Kripi. Please sit. Kripi, thank you. We have a very vibrant, Telugu film industry right here. In fact, not just the film industry, but we also have a large, creative industry when it comes to OTT platforms or even the television channels, the multitude of them that are prevalent in our two Telugu states. And more importantly, we are also attracting, even Bollywood and others to come to Telangana and shoot here. So therefore, the incentives that are offered, I can share that with you. But if you are a newly ingrained person or a businesswoman into this, I think you should engage with Jayesh offline, because we have a very well laid out, very clearly enunciated policy. Thank you.
Yes,
Yes.
I have another question. Good afternoon. My name is Sebastian Schulz. I'm the general manager of Lavelle GmbH. We are based in Düsseldorf, in Hyderabad, and also in China. And we are a trade facilitator, a business consultant, and market entry consultant for companies around the world, with a focus now on India, of course, recently. As you rightfully said, Minister Ramarao, many companies look from China to look for an alternative out of China. It has become difficult during the COVID days, especially to operate in China. And we have many companies on the line that are keen to look towards India and towards Telangana as well. I wanted to know, because in China, many companies settle in big industrial parks. They have very much catered to all their needs, including residential property, everything in one spot. Is there a similar approach or a similar strategy in Telangana that you could see for those companies that look towards industrial parks and setting up R&D centers around and so on? Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name though.
Sebastian Schulz.
Okay, I'm not going to be able to pronounce
Schulz,
it.
SCH.
Sebastian.
Yes.
Okay, Sebastian is easy. Thank you, Sebastian. Sebastian, quickly, in fact, we as a state, our Honorable Chief Minister is a firm believer that India needs to compete on scale. If we have to achieve, unless we achieve economies of scale, we are never going to be able to compete with China. Because, a lot of goods that get manufactured in China and are imported into India are still cheaper in comparison to them being manufactured locally. So that's the challenge that we run into. So therefore, when we started as our journey about 7.5 years ago, our Honorable Chief Minister gave us a very clear mandate. He said, please think on scale. So therefore, in Telangana today, you have not India's, but the world's single largest pharma cluster in the form of Hyderabad Pharma City. It would be the world's largest. We also have India's largest textile park. What we do in these large industrial parks is, exactly like you said, we have a live, work, learn, play mode. So that all the employees that would be working there, because there are concerns about pollution, there are concerns about what kind of activities would be allowed inside of these parks. But if the employees who are working, or if the entrepreneurs who are actually working there are also co-located inside the park, then even the fears of those adjoining would also be allayed. So therefore, in our pharma city, even in our textile park, even other electronics parks, we accommodate dormitories, we accommodate housing. We also, in fact, are keen. I've told Ambassador Linder in the past, I would reiterate it again. Because a lot of German companies are small and medium, if government of Germany is willing, and if government of Germany is willing to facilitate a conversation, either via Indo-German chamber or otherwise, we would be even happy to actually propose and set up a German cluster so that we can create plug-and-play infrastructure. We can create all sort of facilities that you would require when you come into India. And we could even create a facilitation council for you to market your products. And we could even validate partners for you, local partners, joint venture partners who potentially can work with you. Because we are interested in ensuring that our small and medium guys also grow big. They also partner with you. They also learn from you. There could be a technology partnership. There could be technology licensing, etc., etc. So as a government, we are extremely positive and gung-ho about the growth of enterprise in Telangana, in India, and we would be more than happy to work with your embassy here in ensuring that we actually create something truly unique. But we already do what you just asked us. Live, work, learn, and play. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi.
My name is Komet Reddy Saivardhan Reddy. I'm from Hyderabad, born and brought up. So I think in the hall, I'm the youngest entrepreneur, startup entrepreneur. So I'm dealing with German entrepreneurs as well currently. So my request from you is to how we are going to motivate Hyderabadis and how, especially Telangana guys, to cope up with German companies, and how are we going to give them confidence that we are going to, provide lot of future scope with them and things like that. So can you help, can you motivate guys like my age guys, that we are going to really cope up very widely, and there is a lot of scope in the Indo-German relationship. So can you please tell us something about it?
Thank you, Sai Vardhan. I think, when a business decision is made, it's always not just based on bottom line. There are several other factors that go into it. The confidence a state, a local government, kind of provides you so that you think long term, say 20 years, 25 years, like I said. So this is just the beginning. Like Ambassador said, he's visited many, many states. But I think Telangana is one of the few states in India, because if you look at our numbers, and those numbers speak for themselves, the last 7.5 years, what Telangana has been able to do is something truly amazing. Let me just quickly give you a few numbers why any overseas investor, German, French, English, should look at India and should look at Telangana more particularly. By population, if you look at us as a state, we are 2.5% of India. But in terms of our contribution to India's GDP, it's 5%. So 2.5% population literally is punching much, much above its weight and contributing 5% to India's GDP. If you look at per capita, when the state of Telangana was formed, our per capita was 1,13,000 rupees. Today, Telangana's per capita has risen to 2,37,000 rupees, more than doubled in 7 years, while India's national average is only 1,28,000. So we are much above India's national average. More importantly, we are 11th largest state in terms of geography and 12th largest in terms of population. But we are the 4th largest contributor to Indian economy. This is not me saying it. This is Government of India's Reserve Bank of India. In fact, in their recent handbook that they've released, they have clearly set it out. And the 3 states above us are geographically much, much bigger. Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, and Maharashtra. And the 4th one is us. So you can imagine how well Telangana has been progressing on so many fronts. Now, the one thing I can assure you of, and all the entrepreneurs who have a base in Germany or who are from Germany, is that the state will not just be a platform for you to invest. We will be your partner. For example, if you have an issue with Government of India, if there is a tax-related issue or a policy issue, we will also be your partner. We will also be your advocate. We will take up your cause. We will go to Government of India. We have done this in the past. Medical devices industry was having a problem. We reached out to Government of India. Electronics industry had several issues that they wanted us to resolve. We reached out to Government of India so that we ensure India's attractiveness in terms of attracting business is sustained, and more importantly, Telangana continues to grow and continues to contribute to India's growth story. I hope I answered your question in some form. Thank you. Thank you.
The gentleman next to Sebastian. Yes, I think you were trying to ask.
Hello. Good afternoon, the elite gentleman sitting on the dais. I would rather address my question, or rather put my question to Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, sir. And it's one thing I have my colleague and partner in Germany.
Sir, can you introduce yourself? Sorry to interrupt.
My name is Nath Tripurana.
Right.
I belong to, or rather, I have my companies spanning from Hyderabad to Hong Kong to Germany. And though I belong to the state very much, I've been overseas quite a few years now since. And as I just would take a little bit of extension to what Sebastian has pointed out, is about how we make a platform for the German investors or German companies to the state of Telangana, besides the the paperwork or ease of paperwork, what the government of Telangana is providing for, besides the infrastructure situations like electricity improvement, power, or water, whatever. Now, the most important thing, which I have out of my experience of having to dealt with the companies in the Far East and in other parts of the developing world, is it's just not the paperwork which is attracting or the most attractive part of inviting invitation. I would rather seek some more participation and support from the offices of Jayesh Ranjan sir, and is towards making some road shows in and out, or from here in Hyderabad and Telangana, as well as in Germany, because the road shows have been a success story, not just in China. We're always obsessed with competing with China or trying to, beat China at their, backyard. It's more important is we are also fighting with the Southeast Asian countries, or some of those other nations which are offering much better, or rather competitive atmosphere and ground for investors. So it's just not, as he said, Jayesh has said, about 28 states. We are also fighting with, or rather against some other states outside of India, like Vietnam or Cambodia or whatever not. So, well, even our next door, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, in the textile sector particularly. So in light of all that, I would put it in a nutshell is, let's be more aggressive in our approach in pushing our state. I belong to this state. I'm maybe more biased or whatever towards this, but it really deserves with kind of intervention KTR sir has done in the last 7 years. I would see for more proactive approach towards road shows, towards meeting one-to-one investors, where Sebastian would bring in them in the next few months' time, or even earlier, so that that would give better position to the table, bringing to the table, rather than just the policies and infrastructure situations, which we are already competing with, as you know, the states like Maharashtra and Gujarat. Gujarat is also a very progressive, not, I wouldn't say progressive, but it's been very pushy state in giving a plug-and-play situation, which Telangana should also. I do appreciate about the Pharma City, which KTR sir has said about, which is giving a lot of ready-made facilities, but shouldn't just cater to that only. It should also cater to in a broader spectrum of industries. And decentralizing Hyderabad, where Sebastian, being a design consultant for town planning and stuff like that, we have a kind of presentation which I'll share to you at a later time, is about how we can decentralize IT sector or other sectors towards outskirts of Hyderabad, so that we don't have to be one point or point of concentration. Thank you very much, this thing about your inputs and stuff like that. Yeah, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Nath. All the points that you have mentioned are very valid and relevant for us. I can tell this to you. I already mentioned it when I spoke earlier, that we have a very well-organized Invest Telangana cell, which takes care of all the requirements of the investors. It is not just about land and infrastructure and incentives. Suppose they want to partner with a local MSME, we maintain lists of all the best MSMEs who have global footprints already. So lots of facilitation support is provided by Invest Telangana, and I already mentioned that we have organized it along verticals. All the priority areas that we have, there is a vertical for that in the Invest Telangana cell. And I mentioned this also, that next month, incidentally, we will be actually visiting Germany. Honorable Minister is an invitee to the World Economic Forum in Davos, which is taking place from 17th to 20th January. Immediately after that, for 2 or 3 days, we are going to visit Germany, take assistance of the ambassador, his office here, the Indian embassies in Berlin and the consulates in Frankfurt and Munich, etc. And we will be actually reaching out. So we are doing lots of homework from now till then to list out good companies whom we can interact with, the associations whom we can meet. So I'm confident that this is not a one-off thing. Once we get an entry into Germany, there will be definitely an interest in Telangana, and we will be engaged with the companies more and more.
Can I add?
Yes, yes, yes.
Can I
Mr.
add something? Am I audible? Okay. I do have to do some marketing now for the Indo-German Chamber of Commerce, obviously, because we have more than 4,000 member companies, Indian companies as well as German companies. So they all have an interest in the bilateral corridor. And I would just reach out to you and say, come to us, contact us, because this is, I think, a very good platform for enhancing the bilateral trade and investment. We work closely together with other stakeholders, obviously the embassies, the consulates in India, as well as the Indian consulates in Germany. We work with them very closely. We work with German Trade and Invest. So this is a very good state authority that is in charge of also the bilateral investment. I can only offer you that. Also, there are some initiatives related to startups company. There's a German-Indian startup exchange program that is funded by the federal ministry that you can reach out to. So this I would encourage you to do. And we are only one step away from all the industry and commerce chambers in Germany as well, because we are under the same umbrella. So also there, within a very short time, we can contact you to any given company in Germany. So please reach out. We'll be happy to support you in either way.
We'll take the last question.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm Anurag Kotagiri, representing Rights India. We've been an Indo-German manufacturing firm for the past 23 years in Hyderabad. Sir, my question is to you, Honorable Minister KTR Garu. I see a lot of young mechanical engineers, production engineers, graduating from college, and some of them maybe due to lack of some guidance going into the IT industry. Can the government have some sort of initiative, like you spoke about apprenticeship and how they follow it in Germany, where we can have an exchange program for the engineering colleges here? I personally would like to see a lot more mechanical engineers or people into production, into manufacturing industry come in. But I think some of them are, due to lack of guidance, they're pursuing the easiest way, which is the IT industry. So if something can be done from the government side to promote more young people to join us, to join the manufacturing industry, to become entrepreneurs and set up new industries.
Anurag, you said, right?
Yeah, Anurag. Thank you.
Thank you, Anurag. Great question. In fact, it has been a trend, if you think about it, since you're a Hyderabadi and since you're from this part of the country, you know it for a fact that, starting late 90s, the entire Y2K and what happened with IT, coming in a big way, it has become an extremely important and a very attractive sector for our youngsters. What has happened as a result is anybody who actually graduated out of any college, irrespective of what trade or what branch they graduated out of, they eventually moved to IT. So you could have been a mechanical engineer, you could have been a civil engineer, you could have been an engineer who's specialized in electrical communications, etc. Eventually, all of them ended up, in the last couple of decades at least, many of them, I wouldn't say all of them, but majority of them have ended up in IT sector. I think that can be attributed primarily to two things. One, of course, the attractiveness of the sector in terms of the opportunities it offers, the lateral movement it offers, the ability for you to travel across the world. I think that's one. And secondly, I think also the lack of opportunities in their own respective fields, which are not as attractive, say, compared to IT. So if you think about it for a minute, a lot of mechanical and automobile engineers in the state of Telangana who are graduating every year, there are opportunities for them. So, we have Mahindra's manufacturing more than 150,000 tractors every year. We have several other auto component manufacturers, such as yourselves also, who are based very much here in the state of Telangana. Now we have I think it's a blossoming electric vehicle industry, which is also going to shape up rather well. We are already, we have commitments from about 4 different electric vehicle manufacturers to set up their factories here. And we also have several others in the offing. So all of these, of course, will require strong pool of human resources. Now, one thing I'm a firm believer in is, of course, IT, like Mr. Mohan Reddy said, has become all pervasive. There is no field in the world now which does not have, IT's sort of, interference. Not interference, but in fact, involvement, let me put it that way. Even vehicles, automobiles, which used to be traditionally completely, non-IT, so to speak. Today, a electric vehicle is nothing but a computer on a four wheels, essentially. So therefore, while we completely cannot obviate the influence of IT, I think creating a larger palette, creating a larger number of opportunities, for other sectors also to come in would be of great help. We take your point about bringing in an apprenticeship model so that, the youth are also, the students are also exposed to industrial manufacturing, etc., so that, they possibly can, take interest and start joining in. But I think it's going to be a challenge. Honestly, it's going to be a challenge because IT is so attractive and IT is so welcoming, so that it will continue to remain a challenge, not just for our government, but I think every government in the world. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I think with this we have come to the conclusion of this summit. My most sincere thanks on behalf of Government of Telangana and the Industries Ministry. I would like to pass on some information. We do have lunch outside, and at 2:15 p.m. all the buses will be at the lobby in order to go to the scheduled sites. And also we will be returning in the same buses at, let's say, 5:15 or so in the afternoon or evening. And just make sure that you finish your lunch and gather in the lobby in order to get to your scheduled site visits. Thank you very much once again, and please also note that we're all available outside. If any of you want to have any one-on-one interactions with our Principal Secretary or any other team member, then please feel free to come speak to us, exchange cards, and we're really open to having any conversation. So we're all around, and we'll see you outside. Thank you.
Thank you so much.